Today, we're going to talk about one single really tense moment on a California beach back in 1769. It was an event that would set the stage for a massive clash of empires, of beliefs, and of two very different futures. This is the story of Father Junipero Serra's arrival and the moment it all began.
So who is the guy at the center of all this? Who is this man that, for better or for worse, really laid the groundwork for the California we know today?
And maybe more importantly, why is his legacy still so incredibly controversial? I mean, why are people still fiercely debating him today? Let's dig in and find out.
Okay, so our story really kicks off with this one mission, this one idea, all driven by one man's incredibly powerful belief. Let's set the scene. The year is 1769. We're in a place the Spanish called Alta California, and for them, this was like the edge of the known world. And this is where our guy, Father Junipero Serra, a Franciscan friar, steps onto the shore with this one single-minded goal. So what was that goal? Well, it was really a two-part plan. First, convert the native people to Christianity, and second, teach them the Spanish way of life. But you gotta understand, this wasn't just about religion. Oh no, this was a full-on part of Spanish colonial expansion. He had soldiers with him. This was all about claiming this land for the Spanish crown.
So, you can probably guess that this first meeting didn't exactly go smoothly. It was awkward, tense even. You had two completely different worlds colliding, and they just weren't seeing eye to eye.
And this really breaks it down for you. The local people, the Kumeyaay, were like, okay, food and clothes? Yeah, we'll take that. Makes sense. But when the Spanish brought up their religion, it was a hard pass, a firm no. And this one disagreement, it wasn't a small thing. It was the thing. It was the central conflict that everything else would revolve around. And you know what? There's this one story, this one single moment that just perfectly captures this huge cultural clash. It really shows you just how far apart they were. So put yourself in Father Serra's shoes for a second. He's been here for weeks, right? Getting rejected, ignored. And then one day, a Kumeyaay family walks up to the mission, and they're holding their baby. For Serra, this must have felt like a miracle. Like, finally, this is the breakthrough he's been praying for. And you have to understand what baptism meant to him. This wasn't just some ritual. This was everything. This was the whole point of his mission. To him, it was about saving a soul, bringing someone into the Christian faith. This was the ultimate win, the very reason he'd crossed an ocean. So he's there, he's got the holy water ready, he starts saying the words. You can just imagine the sense of triumph. And then, in a split second, it all goes wrong.
Just like that. The family grabs the baby from him and just runs. They're gone. The ceremony, unfinished. The water, not even used. And that connection he thought he was making, completely shattered.
And look, this wasn't something he just brushed off. We know that this one incident, this one moment, really stuck with him. He was apparently upset about it for years. It was more than just a failure. It felt like a total personal rejection of his life's work. So, okay, what happens next? After a moment like that, where do you go? Well, that whole baptism incident, it was really just a sign of a much bigger conflict that was about to boil over.
Yeah, the Kumeyaay didn't just sit back and take it. Their resistance became active. I mean, they fought back, sometimes with violence. At one point, they actually attacked the Spanish settlement. They were sending a message loud and clear. We are not giving up our land or our culture without a fight.
So you'd think, maybe this would make Father Serra pause, right? Maybe rethink his approach? Nope, not at all. In fact, it did the exact opposite. It just made him more determined than ever. For him, this was now a spiritual war, and he basically vowed to work even harder. And the result of all that determination? You're looking at it. 9. That's how many missions Serra himself founded. A whole chain of them right down the California coast. These weren't just churches. They were outposts that would change California forever. So when you look back, all those early moments, the misunderstandings, the failed baptism, the fighting, Serra's stubborn resolve, they weren't just random events. They were the seeds that grew into the entire California mission system. And that system, well, it would have huge and for many Native people, absolutely devastating consequences, forever changing the course of California's history. And that kind of leaves us with this one big final question, doesn't it? When two worlds collide, two worlds with completely different ideas about, well, everything, who gets to decide what the future looks like? Who gets to write the next chapter?